Julie and her husband Tom were driving up Mount Tamborine in Brisbane to visit Tom's mother. They lived on the Sunshine Coast, over an hour away from Tom's mum's place. Dusk was just setting, so Tom turns on his headlights. It had been a wonderful day, the sun shining, not a cloud in the sky. They had been organising to spend the weekend with Tom's mum for weeks, and finally to see her new home. She had moved away to the mountain after Tom's father had passed away. They had so much planned. They were going to go exploring in the forest, go for a walk on the skywalk, even go to dinner in a fancy restaurant. Tom breaks the silence. "It's beautiful up here," Julia replies. "I can't wait to see the sights." Did I just see a piano on the side of the hill?" Tom just laughs. "Yeah, apparently some people were bored one day and decided to paint piano keys on a rock. It's actually kind of famous." Julie chuckles a little. Julie starts to feel the cold. "Is it always cold up here?" "Well, from what Mum told me, yeah it is." Julie reaches in the back seat for her jumper. "Tom!" Tom jumps in fright. "What?" Tom replies. "I just saw a lady behind us, waving her hands around." "Are you sure? I didn't see anyone as we drove past." "Yes!" "Hang on." Tom pulls the car over to the shoulder, but leaves the engine running. "I'll go back and have a look. Lock the doors when I get out." "Be careful." Tom reaches for the torch kept in the glove box. Then he gets out of the car. He waits for the click of the door locks, then starts to walk down the road. He gets to where Julie had yelled out to him, shining his torch from left to right, searching for someone. "Hello? Is anyone there?" He continues to look around. "Hello? My wife saw a lady waving her hands at us." Tom continues to look around, in amongst the bushes and down the embankment side of the road. He doesn't see anyone. "I'm going back to my car. If someone is here and you need help, let me know now." He stands silent for about 30 seconds. Nothing. So he starts to head back to the car, looking back periodically. As he approaches his car, he hears the click of the doors unlocking. He opens the door and starts to sit inside. "Anyone there?" Julie asks. No one." "Did you yell out?" "Honey, I yelled. I pointed the torch everywhere. There's no one there." He puts the car in gear and continues to drive up the mountain. "I swear on my life, I saw someone. Maybe it was a trick of the light?" Julie starts to think. "Possibly, but the lady was wearing a long dress and I could see her long hair, nearly to her waist. She was waving with both hands, frantically trying to get our attention." "Sorry, honey, I didn't see anything." They continue to sit in silence for the rest of the drive. When they arrived at Tom's mum's house, and after they were greeted with smiles, hugs and love, they all went inside. The house was absolutely stunning, an old cottage-style home, possibly built in the early 1900s, with Art Deco covering the walls, old-style cabinets and drawers. On top of the beauty of the house, the aroma that welcomed them was very satisfying. As Tom's mum, Mary, had been spending all day cooking a roast for everyone for that night, Mary says, "Why don't you two go upstairs and unpack? It's the second door on the right. I'll start dishing dinner out." As Tom and Julie were unpacking, Tom notices something was wrong with his wife. "Are you okay, Julie?" "I don't know. I just can't get that lady out of my head." "You mean the one you thought you saw on the mountain?" "Yeah. I just don't know why she's still in my head." "Possibly just your imagination. I looked. I didn't see anything." "You do believe me, don't you?" "Of course I do. I believe you saw something. Maybe what you saw just looked like a lady?" "Yeah, maybe." They continued to unpack. Then they headed downstairs for dinner. Later that night in bed, Julie couldn't stop thinking about the lady. She looked over at her husband, who was sound asleep, and smiled. Maybe Tom is right. It was probably just a trick of the light. Early the next morning, Julie wakes up to find Tom is already out of bed. She gets up, gets dressed, and heads downstairs. Julie walks into the kitchen where Tom and his mum is making breakfast. They look like they were cooking up a feast. Sausages, eggs, baked beans, toast, bacon, an arrangement of different meats. Instantly, Julie was hungry. Tom sees Julie walk in the kitchen. He walks over to her and gives her a kiss. "Good morning, baby. Would you like a coffee?" "Oh, yes, please," Mary asks. "How'd you sleep, love?" "Not too bad." "Was the bed comfy enough for you?" "Oh yeah, it was comfy." "I hope you're hungry." As soon as I smelled the food, I was. They all laughed. After breakfast, they all headed a little down the mountain to the skywalk. Purpose-built platforms built in the treetops where customers can walk around and enjoy the views. And they were breathtaking. Throughout the day of the touristy stuff, Julie noticed that in the back of her mind she was still thinking of the lady on the mountain. Later that night in bed, Tom and Julie were talking about the day they had and how much fun it was. Julie says, "It's a pity it has to end." "Yeah, true. But we do have a lifetime of memories of the weekend and there's still more to come tomorrow." "Speaking of which, what are the plans for tomorrow?" Julie asked. "Well, we're not leaving until 3, so what would you like to do?" "Isn't there some caves up here that there's heaps of fireflies in them?" "Actually, they're glowworms. We could go see them if you like." Tom rolls over and gives Julie a kiss. "Good night, honey. I'm beat." "Good night, babe. Sleep well." They both roll over and go to sleep. Suddenly, Julie wakes up and sits up in fright. She looks around the house and outside. She sees the sun is just starting to rise. She quickly gets out of bed, gets dressed, and starts to pack their bags. She wakes up Tom. "Wake up, babe. We have to go home." "Oh, what's wrong? Everything okay?" "We just need to go home." "Why?" "The sun isn't even up, and you wanted to go to the glowworm caves today, didn't you?" "I know, but that can wait. Please, honey, we need to go home now." Tom, seeing an urgency in his wife's face, starts to get up and gets dressed. "Oh, okay, but what am I going to tell Mum?" "I don't know. Just leave her a note saying there was an emergency." Later on, as they were driving down the mountain, Tom says, "So, are you going to tell me what's going on? Why we left so urgently?" "Honestly, honey, I don't know. I woke from a dream and for some reason knew we had to leave immediately. I wish I knew why." "Okay, but I will need to tell Mum." "Stop! Stop now, pull over!" Julie interrupts. Tom does so. Julie gets out of the car, as does Tom. Julie starts to walk across the road and look down the embankment beside the road. It is about 150 feet down to the ground. Julie starts looking down. She is looking for something as Tom stands by her side. "What are you looking for?" Julie doesn't answer for a bit. "There!" Tom sees what Julie is pointing to. He runs back to the car and grabs his phone to call emergency. He starts to walk back to Julie as he is talking on the phone. "Hello, we've just found a car down the embankment on the way up Mount Tamborine." After Tom gives the details to the operator, he hangs up. Emergency's on their way. He looks at Julie with complete confusion on his face, and he starts to look around. "Babe, you do realise, this is where we stopped on our way up here on Friday, where you saw the lady? Is it? Honestly, I didn't even realise." "Julie, how did you know?" "I don't know. The dream I had was of a lady looking at me. All I could see was her face. She had a sad look in her eyes. All she said to me was, 'Help me.' I jumped in fright and I had the sudden urge that we had to go straight away." Tom looks at Julie with complete confusion in his eye as he lovingly embraces her. Just then, police sirens can be heard. The next week at home, Julie gets a phone call.
"Good afternoon, Julie. My name is Detective Hargraves. If you have the time, I'd like to talk to you about the car you found on Mount Tamborine."
"Of course," Julie replies.
"First and foremost, how did you know there was a car down the embankment?"
"In all honesty, I didn't." Julie proceeds to tell the detective the story, from seeing the lady behind them, to constantly thinking about her, to waking up suddenly with the feeling that they had to go immediately. Hargraves interrupts.
"Did you say you saw a lady with long hair wearing a long dress?
"Yeah,
And you saw her on Friday, is that correct?"
yeah, why?"
"Well, ma'am, when we were able to get to the car, we found the baby in the back seat, still in the car seat, barely alive. Don't panic, baby will make a full recovery. But the part that has me stumped, the lady who was driving the car had long hair and she was wearing a long dress."
"So is she the one I saw?"
"Ma'am, the accident happened Thursday afternoon. She was killed on impact. I don't know what you saw, but Because of your actions, you saved that little baby's life.